I am thrilled to bring up our third storyteller. We are so excited to have Justin here from the Urban Connections Project, who's also repping his logo. I don't know if you guys can see him. He is,
Oh, let me put it in the view for you guys.
yeah, you're looking sharp. Justin, take it away. We're excited for your story.
Of course. So my name is Justin Campbell, and I, along with my wife, actually founded the Urban Connection Project, where we believe in raising the odds of success in students, with an emphasis on students that come from a lower socioeconomic area. We started this company about 2014. We went full time in 2016. And a lot of people think that I came to Phoenix actually to be an educator, but truthfully, I came because I was chasing a young lady. And lo and behold, I ended up marrying her, and so it was for a good reason. And we even had a child very recently. We just celebrated our 5th year anniversary as well. And my daughter is funny because she knew I was going to be on the show, so she decided to scratch me up a little bit. She just wanted to put her imprint on the show a little bit. So, but we started the organization because we saw that there was a need when we were both educators ourselves. And so the sheer nature of our organization is to enhance culturally responsive teaching. And we do that from 4 different pillars. So the first one is cultural awareness. Now, cultural awareness, I'm going to give you guys 2 stories about myself and how this ended up being something that was a glaring need in education. So when I first got to college, I grew up in Detroit and also a suburb called Southfield. And every Black person, I'm going to start with my own, every Black person I met, either you played basketball or you at least attempted to play basketball. And I remember getting to college, and this was just an understanding that I had it, but it was based on my experiences. I met a gentleman who was really cool, really down to earth. And we were in the cafeteria one day, and I just asked him, "Hey, you want to go play basketball?" He's like, "Actually, I don't play basketball." I'm like, "What?" Like, that doesn't make sense. Well, what do you play? He's like, "I play soccer." What? So what that let me know, though, was that I was judging him obviously based on what I had been through, my own experiences. Similarly, when I first started teaching, I remember I met a young lady who was Caucasian female, maybe 110 pounds or so. And when I first got into the school, the first thing I thought when I saw her was, I hope she can handle these students. And I even told her this as we grew closer to be friends, but how small minded I was to think that you have to look like someone in order to connect with them. In fact, the outward appearance is one of the most shallow versions of connections that humans can experience. It's also one of the most short lived. So, in learning more about her and what she was able to do in the classroom, the kids revered her. They loved her so much. She was able to connect with them better than some people, some of the most, similarly looking people that have stepped foot into the classroom. And all it did was let me know that I did not give her or the gentleman I met in college space to be themselves. Now, a lot of times we come into the classroom and we do the same thing with students, where it's very possible that we're putting our own experiences, our own thoughts, our own beliefs into who they are as people, but it's completely based on the experiences that we have gone through growing up and whatnot. So the first thing that we address is cultural awareness, and it always starts with who you are as a person. The second pillar to culturally responsive teaching that we work on is systems. Now, systems is simply just a set of rules or expectations that allow the hierarchy in the classroom not to be an emotional or biased entity. Now, that emotional and biased entity is us as humans. It's very natural for us if we have a great day, we wake up and, someone paid for our coffee, we get to work on time, then we may react differently to a student that day than the next day when we wake up after our alarm clock, we get to school late. And now the way that we respond to student B might be different than how we responded to the other student when we had a good day. And now we're introducing a bias in the classroom that doesn't need to be there. And now it's a natural thing for us to have biases and for us to be emotional. That's just who we are as human. It's not about not having them or eliminating them. It's about putting them in check and allowing the system to be the hierarchy. That way, the student knows exactly what the expectations are and, of course, how to navigate themselves through it. The third thing then we get into is building relationships. Now, the same young lady I talked about when I first started teaching, I can remember a student that we just could not really get to. And it was her idea, like, hey, let's go to his soccer game. So we decided to go to the soccer game. And when I got there, we didn't ride together. When I got there, her and another coworker of mine, they actually had signs that said like "Go Diego" or whatever the kid's name. I forget the kid's actual name, but they had signs made for this kid. Now imagine this kid who probably is going through school and not really thinking that teachers or whomever cares about him. It's very possible he feels that way. And then he's at a soccer game and his teachers are having signs with like with a great message on it to make you feel like you have someone in your corner. How you respond to that is going to be completely different. The reason is because, truth be told, we are paid as teachers to work from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So everything that we do within those confines can be seen as what we're supposed to be doing for our job. It's about going outside of that and making connections outside of your duties that really lets the student know that you are there in their corner and allows them to see you as someone that they can follow to help them get to a place of success. The last thing that we work on, or the fourth pillar, is accessible and rigorous content. Now, I used to work for an education company, and this education company, working there, they're a for-profit company, which is not an issue. They do a lot for the community and a lot for education, but they are for-profit, which means that they pay attention a lot to their bottom dollar. And the biggest spenders are the ones who tend to influence what goes in the textbooks. And I can recall being in a meeting where they said, hey, the product that Texas paid for is what we're going to push out as a national product, which isn't uncommon because Texas and California are the biggest spenders. So what you may be using in the classroom can be something that was never tailored to your kids to begin with. And I can recall teaching a math lesson. I was a math teacher. If you don't like math, it's fine. We'll talk about it later. But I love math. And I can remember teaching the students about probability. What are the odds that you pull a spades out of a deck of cards or a hearts out of the deck of cards? And I remember this lesson, the students were just not engaged at all. And I stopped the entire class and said, okay, let's talk about it. What is going on? And one of the students said, what's a spade? I'm like, there's 13 of each club and it's 4 different ones in the deck. And they're like, oh, you mean like Uno? No, playing cards. But truthfully, it had nothing to do with their culture. A lot of the kids had never been exposed to it. So I was teaching them with something that was never tailored to them to begin with. And how much different would it have been if I was able to change just from playing cards into something that they happen to be into? Maybe their favorite snacks like Takis and Cheetos. I don't know, whatever the kids are eating nowadays, but they would have been more engaged. They would have seen it as more relevant, and it would have been more apt to doing some of the activities that we had in there. So that's what we work on at the Urban Connection Project. Those 4 pillars: cultural awareness, systems, building relationships, and also rigorous and accessible content. And our belief is that when all is said and done, this is all just to build up the whole child, that they will have a feeling that I'm going to illustrate in a poem that I wrote. And it goes, institutionalized with crime and lies. What really lies behind this wall that they built up? Nothing but generational curses and cries of this is all you'll ever be, so get used to it and shut up. But see, the mere thought that the past is anything more than just a lesson that needs to be overcome is the beginning of destruction. And yes, we all know that iron sharpens iron, but there is nothing, absolutely nothing that sharpens nothing, because see, you ain't nothing. You ain't never going to be nothing. So go to school and become nothing, get that job that pays you next to nothing, and know that you came from nothing. So your past is nothing, your present is nothing, your future is nothing, and that's all you'll ever be is nothing. And see, these are the things that some of our students hear, but we expect them to stand strong on their 2 feet, to be proud of who they are. But what are they really standing on when all they hear about is defeat? At least that's what they used to hear, until that brave educator with no fear stood toe-to-toe with intent to steer the student into a direction that they can revere, clearing the damage that's been created their entire scholastic career, all for that one shining moment. They walk across the stage and get their high school diploma. And the students thinking, you know what? I never thought I'd be here. I never knew my future was this bright. I've been lied to my entire life. I'm so happy and proud that teacher came and shed the light when they told me I was beautiful, I'm capable, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, and able to be the rose that grew from the concrete. And it's funny, because of it, my morale rose. I now see my future as being concrete, all because that brave educator. I now know I can be who I want to be. I can live life passionately. I can make my dreams a reality, and I don't have to settle for casualties. All because that brave educator, I now know the truth. And yes, getting a high school diploma is great, but I want to be what I'm destined to be. I want others to know their name is not engraved in the pavement in which I thought my name was engraved in. All because that brave educator, I'm now ready to change the world. And see, this is the belief that we have at the Urban Connection Project, that if we are helping to develop the future leaders, that maybe we don't have to live through another Trayvon Martin. Maybe we don't have to see another George Floyd issue. And it's because we put the time and effort into making our society and our future leaders ready for what's going to come next. And that is the reason why we even started our organization. So I thank you all for spending time just listening. And I appreciate the time that that Local First and USA Today has given us to share this news.
Oh my gosh, Justin, thank you so much for your story.
Absolutely.
Oh my, it was just